Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Beth Chats Books. Now today's video is going to be the autumn reading tag. Now I believe that this tag was created over a year ago and I'll tag down below the original video. As we're in autumn now, I thought it'd be a great book tag to do, and it's a horrible dreary day today here. It's been raining on and off and I have a bit of free time. I have the day off, so I thought it'd be really nice to give you guys an autumn reading book tag in autumn. So without further ado, let's get straight into the autumn reading tag. So question number 1. Are there any books you plan on reading over the autumn season? Now this is going to be no surprise to anybody, but the only book that I want to read for certain in autumn is Autumn by Ali Smith. Now I believe that Autumn by Ali Smith was published about a year ago around this time, but I never got a chance to read it during that time. So I know a lot of booktubers reviewed it and it's kind of old hat for a lot of people because Winter is coming out this coming winter by Ali Smith, and I've seen a lot of big booktubers do Instagram posts relating to reading she did a few weeks back of Winter and some previews and things. So I know it's kind of oldish now, but I never got on the hype when it came out because I was very busy with exams and things and revision. So I want to get to it now. It's also autumn, so there is no more perfect time to read it. So that's one that I desperately want to read. However, there's no other books that I desperately want to get to in the month of autumn. Now, I would love to read autumnal reads, so if you have any that you could recommend me, leave a comment down below and I would really appreciate that, because I'm one of those readers who's not really conscious of the season I'm in when I'm reading books, and I don't usually make sure that I read seasonal books in a certain season to complement. I usually just read stories that I'm really interested in, but I want to get more involved in making my choices more seasonal when I read throughout the year. So if you could recommend me any autumn reading material, any great books that you've read, it can be non-fiction as well, but anything that's kind of set in autumn would be fantastic. Short story collections and poetry I would also really love recommendations for. If you could do that for me and just leave a comment down below, I would highly appreciate that. And now I'm going to go on to question number 2 because that was slightly waffly. Okay, so question number 2. September brings back to school memories. What books did you most enjoy studying and what were your favourite and least favourite school subjects? So at school, 2 books that really stand out for me. One of those is Never Let Me Go by Cashew Issue Guru. Now I read this in high school, and this year, just a few weeks ago now, Cashew Issue Guru was given a highly acclaimed prize for fiction, which was fantastic because I think he's a really amazing writer. So that was really exciting news. He, in interviews, claimed that he didn't realise he was going to win it because he thought it was a joke. People were spreading around a rumour before he'd been officially told. So that's the Nobel Prize for Fiction. I don't know if I specified that just then. Yes, he won that. But I'm going to go on to why Shiguro was Never Let Me Go was a really good story. And that's because it's very unnerving, but it's highly relevant. Now, a lot of people who are a lot older than me will be shocked to find out that I read that in high school because, you know, some people class it as quite classic now. But it was very recent when I was at school and it came out. And it was very fundamental because it was discussing the impact of social engineering, and it's kind of sci-fi-esque, but it's very unsettling. It's mainly about Kathy H, who... she's a student at Hailsham, and it's her story of her kind of growing up with the 2 other main characters in it, Tommy and Ruth. And then they come to learn that they are clones that have been bred so that people in the outside world can harvest their organs when they need them, and it will eventually lead to their death. And it's horrifying and unnerving, but it's beautifully constructed. And I reread it quite recently for a university module. It gave me an opportunity to reappreciate and revalue how important this story is and how creepy and unsettling it is. So that was one that always sticks out very strongly in my mind of a book that I studied. And then another, during my time at A-levels, I studied Vernon Godlittle in English. I forgot now off the top of my head who is the author, but I'll put a picture up so you can see. And that was a very interesting one. That sticks out in my reading experiences as well because it is very grotesque in how it's written. It deals with some very disturbing and unsettling themes such as child molestation. It's a coming of age story. Jesus, I think he's called. He kind of does like a Columbine massacre at school, and Vernon is found guilty for it. Information's kind of hazy because it was a very long time ago, but I remember it being very deeply disturbing. And then there's almost this discussion of how criminals are celebritized. I don't know if that's a word, but what I mean is they are very attractive to the media, and it kind of perpetuates all of these themes of that in this book. I'm going to link down a synopsis down below as well, because I feel like I really didn't do that justice, but I remember it being very unnerving, just leaving high school and then dealing with this very graphic book that has a lot of adult content that we'd previously been a lot more sheltered with our reading experiences, so it opened this whole new door to me of very different style of literature. And then at university, obviously, I read many of the classics. I read Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights, went through the Romantic period and read poetry by Byron and William Wordsworth. And I did postmodernist literature, so I got to read Zadie Smith and Sarah Waters. So I had a very diverse reading experience, but there's no particular book within university that I remember kind of founded my love for literature, because it was already there before I went to university, and there was no profound book that amazed me, because I had so many books that I enjoyed while I was at university. So there's that. And then my favourite subjects at school, will be no surprise to anyone, was English and history, which I then ended up doing a degree in. So as you can tell, they are both subjects that I've loved my entire life. And my least favourite subject was maths. I only barely passed maths. I hated maths, and the minute I finished I was so relieved, because I found it so difficult. So that was definitely always my least favourite subject. And then question number 3. October means Halloween. Do you enjoy scary books and films? Now the short answer is no, I don't enjoy either. But I do love thrillers, psychological thrillers, crime thrillers, trying to discover something. I don't mind books or films that unsettle me. One of my favourite films, and still is today, is Shutter Island, and that's unnerving from the minute you enter that film till the end credits. It's terrifying, it's unnerving, it moves you to tears at some points. I just love the way it's constructed. I love how the big revelation at the end is not something that you anticipate, and how you go on the journey with the character, but then at the end you can still be empathetic as to some of the motivations of the characters within it. I thoroughly love stuff like that. And one particular short story that I have to mention that stuck with me ever since the day I read it, and it's hauntingly beautiful but it's very unnerving, and I can't get it out of my head, is Don't Look Now by Daphne du Maurier. Now, it's so creepy, the ending is superb, it's not expected, it leaves you reeling, and to give you that sensation in a short story, it's fantastic. Now, that is something that's very unnerving. It's not horror, however, some would class it as a horror, I guess. I class it as a different genre, really, kind of like a thriller, but unsettling. You know, I wouldn't class it as a horror, because I don't enjoy horrors that cheap. Someone's going to stab you if you go into the basement kind of cliche type style of story. I don't enjoy that, but I enjoy thrillers, and I enjoy gothic literature. Things like Jane Eyre, that's very gothic in style, and Wuthering Heights and things like that. I love that kind of style. So yes, I would say no on scary, but yes on thriller. Yeah. And then question number 4. With November, it's time for bonfire night and fireworks displays. What's the most exciting book you've read that really kept you gripped? Now, the most recent one, which I literally just finished about a day or two ago, and there's a book review coming of it, so I don't want to give too much away, is A Complicated Kindness by Miriam Towers. Really don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. This is not meant to be a grippy book, I don't suppose. It's a coming of age story about Naomi, and how she's living in a community, a Mennonite community in Manitoba, which is fairly similar to an Amish upbringing. But there's so many things in here. Her character development is fantastic. The characters around her, the way that we feel unsettled by her behaviour and unnerved by how she's feeling, and then knowing that an ending cannot possibly be a positive thing for this character. I didn't want to leave this character behind when I finished it. I felt for Naomi, I wanted to stay with her, I wanted to comfort her. She's a very disturbed character, and I had to find out what happened to her. I couldn't let her go, and I think that is a great sign of a great gripping novel or a gripping read, that you can't seem to get it out your head. From the minute I finish this, I still think about Nomi, which sounds kind of cheesy, but I do sometimes with characters that I really love or stories that I really enjoy. I can't let that character go. She's still there. I still think about her. I'm still perplexed by the ending, and it gave me this resonating feeling of overwhelming sadness, you know, that all the way through had a kind of slower intensity, but it was still intense. And when I finished it, I still had this lingering sadness about this, and it still gripped me in that sense. So it's not a conventional gripping read, but it is, to me, a very gripping and engaging read. So there's that one. And then number 5, what book is your favourite cosy comfort read? Now, I have loads. Off the top of my head, when I was thinking about this, I couldn't think of anything apart from really obvious ones. So some of the ones that I personally find cozy and some people might find challenging and frustrating is, I love Wuthering Heights and I love Jane Eyre. I love the Bronte sisters, and those are comforting stories for me because I've read them so many times and I adored them. But one of the very obvious writers and series that will always be a cozy read, and whenever I feel crappy or I want a refreshing read or I just want to re-engage with my childhood, I will always pick this series up, and that is the Harry Potter series. Obviously, I'm just using the Philosopher's Stone here, just picking it up to give you an image of it, but I didn't really need to do that because you guys know, but this is a more old-fashioned one. This is the classic British one that came out when I was a young child. And for all you Americans, it is Philosopher's Stone. So I just love this series. It reminds me of my childhood. It's something I'm really proud of. The escapism is just amazing. Every Christmas, me and my brother and sister always rewatch the Harry Potter series. My boyfriend knows all the cheesy lines from the films. So it's just a great book that, and a series that has connected me to my family and the people I love very dearly. I can approach it any time of year and it just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy, regardless of whether it's winter, you know, it still gives me the warm fuzzies. So there's that one. And then question number 6, sorry, I just got a little scratch. Curled up with a good book, what is your hot drink of choice? Now, any hot drink, but it depends on the time of year. So tea is my always go-to, which is just standard English breakfast tea. Or Red Label, you know, those kind of brands, the cheapy ones I usually get, with a bit of milk in them. So that I can drink pretty much all year round. Coffees I will be drinking more in the winter months because I like feeling warm and cosy, whereas in the summer months I can't really have a lot of coffee because it just dehydrates me a lot. I usually always have water on the go because I'm really big into drinking water. I drink 2+ litres a day. Because it's my only health regime, you know, I should be exercising more and eating better, but water is that one thing that, because my skin is so dry, it's something that I go to replenish myself all the time. But I also love herbal teas, so usually near summer I will switch from things like coffee to herbal tea because it detoxes you. You don't want something overly hot and heavy, but herbal teas seem to be refreshing, like peppermint teas. I rarely have indulgent things like I call them a posh coffee, which is where you get like a machine coffee, you know, with all the froth. I don't go to Starbucks and Costa very frequently because it's just a lot of crap is in it, and I know a lot of crap's in it and I'm trying to eat well at the moment, so I don't want all the excess sugar and cream. And I don't have things like hot chocolate, only a very treat because it is very stodgy having a hot chocolate, and I'd prefer consuming my calories in physical form like an actual chocolate bar. So those are my go-to drinks for sure every time I'm reading. And then the extra little question it says is, are there any plans you're looking forward to over the next few months? Well, one major life change that's happening for me is on Sunday I'm starting work. I officially got a job. So I've been back home for 2 weeks and I've just been mad applying for jobs. So I've got a Christmas temp job at the moment, but it's going to take me through to January. And I'm very happy about acquiring it. I didn't expect to get it. It's the first official interview that I've ever done. It was really great for my confidence, and it's really great to just get some experience on the CV. So that's going to be changing how I'm going to be scheduling my videos. But my videos are going to be consistent, 2+ videos a week, I'm hoping. And apart from that, I'm just going to spend time with the family, start doing Christmas shopping, all that load of stuff. But I would love to hear if you guys have anything exciting that's going on in the next few months. Leave a comment down below telling me if you've got any great plans or how your life's going. I'd love to hear from you guys. So that was the autumn reading book tag. I really hope you enjoyed this. Leave me a comment down below with how you are finding autumn. What books are you reading? What are you enjoying? And I'll speak to you guys very soon. I have a book review of A Complicated Kindness coming very, very soon, so expect to see that. But that's it for now, and I'll see you guys very soon with another video.